BDAG is the gold standard of Greek lexicons, and this is one that I used frequently during my time in seminary, both when I was learning biblical Greek and also during my PhD program. So I want to take a moment in this overview video to show you a few strategies on how I used BDAG during my time in seminary. So the first thing I would recommend doing is to go to the Accordance menu on a Mac or the Utilities menu on Windows and go to your Settings or Preferences. And then under Amplify, once you've installed BDAG, set it as your triple-click default for your Greek lexicon. And then here I'm in Matthew 16:18, and one of the Greek words we see here is ecclesia. And I needed to read BDAG's article on ecclesia when I was putting together my PhD dissertation. And so if I triple click on the word ecclesia, we see here that BDAG has now gone straight to the article on ecclesia. And I can sit here and I can read this article and I can see the various usages of the word ecclesia throughout Scripture, see some sample Scripture passages as well, and read this great article here on ecclesia. Now, the real power that I found in the Accordance edition of BDAG is when I perform the search not only for the word but the scripture passage as well. So if I go back to my settings or preferences and under Amplify, if I make sure that include reference when amplifying from text to tool is selected, when I triple clicked on that word ecclesia in scripture, you notice not only did it search for the Greek entry, but it also searched for the scripture reference as well. And what's great about this is that it automatically highlights the scripture reference as well. So it allows me to zero in on where this scripture passage is mentioned in BDAG, so I can zero in on this section of the article. Because sometimes when you are working with BDAG, especially if you were doing this in a print edition, there's so many scripture references that accompany these very in-depth articles that sometimes it may be difficult for you to see where at in Scripture BDAG actually mentions your Scripture passage. So by performing this search, it will highlight that Scripture passage for you. So this is the section of the article that I really need to zero in on and see how my Scripture passage is referenced by BDAG. So just take a moment, make sure these couple of settings are set up, and you will be able to really unlock the riches of BDAG during your biblical language classes in seminary or for any other advanced research that you need to do in BDAG. And if you don't own BDAG, I highly recommend adding it to your Accordance library because it is the gold standard lexicon and one of the most valuable Greek lexicons you can add to your Accordance library today.